afternoon, everybody. My name is Leah Johns, and we're going to be talking about promoting ecotourism, Mlup Baitong's solution to conservation. So let's talk a little bit about Mlup Baitong. They are a Cambodian or Khmer non-government organization based out of Phnom Penh. They were formed in 1998 to combat deforestation as well as educating the public on sustainable alternative solutions. They've implemented several different projects over the years, including ecotourism, environmental conservation, uplifting poverty through education and technical training, as well as modernizing villages with technology and infrastructure. Some of the things I've implemented recently are running water toiletries for homes and businesses, roadways, and solar panel sustainable energy solutions for homes. So before we look at ecotourism as an alternative, we need to understand tourism in Cambodia as a whole. 21% of Cambodia's economy comes from the tourist industry, which is about $5 billion in US currency annually. This is the most rapidly growing industry in Cambodia, even more so than the textile industry right now. Back in 1998, when Mlup Baitong formed their organization, there was about 286,000 visitors for the country. By 2019, right before the pandemic, there were over 6 million visitors. This is an astronomical 2,000% increase in visitors in just 2 decades. Unfortunately, because of this increase, there has been a development of unsustainable practices to try and accommodate these influx of visitors, which are beginning to threaten precious areas such as Angkor Wat, one of their more heavily trafficked areas by tourists. This has led to the exploitation of foreign tourists, especially by pickpockets and professional beggars. There are very poorly developed roads due to the government being unable to keep up with tourist foot and traveling traffic, as well as the negligence of temples due to the lack of government initiative and willful disregard by the tourists. Now we need to take a look into the benefits of ecotourism. Ecotourism really focuses on educating travelers through more sustainable alternatives to traditional tourism. So this can involve, instead of staying in a hotel, you're going to be staying with a host family inside their own home. Instead of eating imported foods, you're going to be indulging in local cuisines. And instead of going to a well-stocked aquarium, you might be going through a trip through the river instead. Some of the other benefits include the ability to empower the participating cultures by increasing self-esteem, building community relationships, and the growth and status for community members, especially the youth and women, who are often seen in a lower social hierarchy in rural villages. There's also the benefit of conserving the local ecosystem. Since this is a more lucrative part of ecotourism models, you want to make sure that it is in its best condition and protected. There's also the benefit of the increase of sustainable income, and this helps alleviate illegal poaching and deforestation practices, because often not only are these usually illegal or unsustainable, they can often be dangerous and low paying. There is also the benefit in growing political engagement in local communities. Once people start realizing that ecotourism can feed their families, they're going to become more involved locally and federally to ensure that their lands are protected for these ecotourism trips. So ecotourism really focuses on 3 laws. Law number 1 is nature-based attractions. So you don't want to have unnecessary human development in order to promote your tourist area. Law number 2 is the learning and education focused interactions for visitors. So you want your tourists to become immersed with the local culture, understanding why their ecosystem is important and how these cultures have flourished over the decades to be where they are now, and why their environment needs to be protected. And law number 3, which is the most important in my opinion for ecotourism, is sustainable practice and management of that ecotourist area. Because even if you are educating the visitors, if you are not respecting the land and respecting the practices that make it sustainable, there is no sense in calling it ecotourism, because it'd be no different than a trip to Angkor Wat. So now we need to discuss how to promote ecotourism. My proposal for this is to project to a wider paying audience. Increased income requires a wider audience willing to contribute to the Khmer economy. So in order to do this, we need to spread the word about sustainable tourism practice, as well as promote the appreciation of the Khmer culture and environment. This will help develop stronger political relationships for conservation practices to protect these ecotourist destinations and this can easily be obtained by increasing exposure, primarily using social media for this project. So now let's talk about some of the benefits of social media. This is a low-cost tool for small organizations to develop and run daily, versus using mass marketing strategies, which are more beneficial for large organizations that can afford those extensive overhead costs. This is also a benefit in reaching a wider audience to multiple countries and interested organizations. Today, this language barrier can be mitigated by a free and easy translation generator tool, which are often readily available on many media sites such as Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. This is really a great way to give audiences a variety of posts to look at and explore without being alienated from a language barrier. Social media also allows for real-time updates of projects to keep the audience engaged. This really helps prevent the out-of-sight, out-of-mind mentality and shows to their audience that there is active progress involved with ongoing projects. Supporters also have a direct link to the organization to express concerns or even want to share their own stories about experiences with Mlup Baitong. This is a great way to make social media personable for their supporters, as well as being able to give them feedback and just show general admiration and support for the organization. Social media can also be a portal for direct donations and fundraising strategies. This can help save Mlup Baitong money by receiving either direct donations without marketing development costs or without having to spend money on fundraiser equipment. Of course, this is also a great way to promote environmental and conservation awareness to unknowing audiences, especially since many people still do not understand where or what Cambodia is. And this is a great way to help educate new people on something they might want to get involved in. So what is the future of ecotourism in Cambodia? As I've said before, this is a rapidly growing tourism industry in the country. There was a 2,000% increase of visitors since 1998, and there's still a possibility to grow after the pandemic is over. There is a large issue with popular tourist destinations being destroyed from unsustainable practices and a lack of initiative from the government. But by using ecotourism, we can empower the participating communities and uplift people from poverty and damaging income practices by engaging in sustainable solutions and just communicating with other people, educating the world on the beauty and the promise of Cambodia's environment and culture. And hopefully in the future, we can use Mlup Baitong's ecotourism villages as a model for other countries to look up to. But this is only possible if we implement sustainable practices today to promote a stronger future tomorrow. So thank you for coming and listening to my presentation. These are my references. Please let me know if there's anything that I can improve on or if there's anything you enjoyed. Thank you, and y'all have a great weekend.